You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, Episode 2.
On today's episode, we talk about the Spice Chart, Korean food talk, and voices from the nation.
So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to The After Show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, a relaxed discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me is Koala.
Hi.
Hey, Koala. How are you?
I'm fine.
Just
And you,
fine?
Crispy? Just fine. Yes, just fine.
I'm doing
Nothing
okay.
special.
Not too bad. It's very sunny in California, so
Why is it sunny?
how can I complain?
It's January.
It's like unusually sunny. We'll talk about that more later on the show, but yeah, the weather's been kind of a trip. All right, just to start off the episode, couple shout outs. So the SojuTalk crew, they've given us their blessing. They have decided to let the SojuTalk Nation be part of the community. And thanks to Doug for shouting us out on the podcast on the main show this week. And we're also joined by our friends over at the Dumpster Cast. So the Dumpster Cast is a group of us that get together and just talk. It is a dumpster. Call you listen to the episode. We'll talk about it in more detail later on. But what are your quick takes on the Dumpster Cast?
Why is it just Bagel screaming? Like, I associate that with the Dumpster Cast after 2 episodes.
I mean, it wouldn't be the Dumpster Cast without Bagel screaming. So let's remember that that's the identity. That's the spirit of the show. All right, let's move on to this week in music in Soju Talk. So the main theme of the show this week seemed to be movies and cinema. A lot of the music videos and a lot of discussion revolved around just how the music videos looked, the story, and even kind of references to other media and other movies in other genres and parts of the world. I wanted to shout out Doug. He'd mentioned several really cool movies, and I think we talked about it a little bit last week. I'm not going to commit, but I will say watching movies or dramas is still like a very top form of entertainment and hobby for me when compared to something like K-pop. Don't give me crap for that, Koala. Damn you. So Doug mentioned a few movies. He mentioned Kill Bill in reference to the Wonho music video. Kill Bill and Oldboy and Deer Hunter. Wow, those 3. Which they're all classics in their genre. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. And then he also mentioned Desperado and Robert Rodriguez. He directed that movie, but Robert Rodriguez has a very distinct style as far as using, I guess, like Latin-inspired crime thrillers, and also the way he shoots things. It's very... has a lot of edge and a lot of, I guess, tension in the way he shoots things. And he mentioned Desperado when he talked about the Epic High songs this week. So kind of just thinking about the songs this week and the underlying theme of cinema and movies and film storytelling. We'll get right into it and have a couple quick takes. So we usually structure it where we'll talk about a few songs, kind of just how the crew thought about them, and then we'll give our deeper opinions and thoughts on a couple very select songs. So the first one is AB6, Stay Young. Koala, what are your quick takes, and do you agree or disagree with what the crew thought about the song this week?
I generally like the song. I don't like it as much as Warren did, but I also don't dislike it the way the other two did. So I'm pretty like, I'm not indifferent, but it's nothing too special for me.
Yeah, more or less the same. I watched the music video once. I thought it was a fun boy group, youthful song. But I thought it was interesting that the crew talked about the history of AB6 and how that they've switched genres so often. And I can understand like when you're trying to develop a fan base and trying to find new fans, that it could be a little bit jarring with so many different types of music videos and songs. And also, it didn't help that they lost a member because of outside circumstances. What did you think about the set for the music video?
It was just really cute. After Doug said that it was shot in, I think Everland. I think it was Everland in Korea. I already like I realized that it was actually like a whole park, and it all made sense. I was first I thought it was just some kind of set they built because I'm used to that as a YG stan because they always do sets and never go to real places. But I compared to the other MVs, which we'll talk about a bit more later on, I thought it was not as good, but nothing too bad. I liked it.
That's good. Yeah. And I didn't think anything too heavy about the music video either. I did see the point that Doug was saying how they held that shot, the choreography shot, very long to the point where it almost felt like just a choreography video. I thought it worked to a point in that, yes, the budget may have been a little bit lower, but it still just fit kind of the theme park motif, right? Just the idea of like having fun and just like highlighting that. So I guess like in a vacuum, it's just a very fun, straightforward music video, but honestly, just not something super memorable for me. And you know where I stand with boy groups. I am indifferent. I do not think positively, nor do I think negatively of most boy groups or boy soloists. So that is where I stand. Okay. And the next one is Yunho. I think I mispronounced that earlier. So it's Yunho. Thank you. And it's the very cinematic SM music video. I think the music video is about 7 minutes long. It was, I think Warren put it that it was a movie with music. Paraphrasing Warren. So going off what the crew said, do you agree or disagree? How did you feel the crew handled the discussion on this music video?
I would agree with the crew because, in my opinion, I wouldn't have really thought more about this song if the MV wasn't that well shot. As they said, without the MV, the song would have been probably worse. At least the experience would have been. And my general feelings towards the song are also pretty much the same as the ones of the crew.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with you there. I cannot remember the song. I will just say that right now. I cannot remember the song. But the music video, the imagery, and the iconography of the different genres and the homage to noir and film noir was just really captivating and interesting. So I was watching it the entire time through, but I almost was watching it thinking it was a short film as opposed to like a music video. So I mean, all of the references were very memorable, but I can't tell you anything about the song. And I thought it was interesting that Warren did try to talk about the song a little bit, but every time he would, I just felt very disconnected because I couldn't tell you whether I agreed or disagreed, just because there was nothing about the song that I remembered. And it might have been just that I was just the music video was just more impactful for me, and that was kind of the reason where I was like, well, I'm just gonna focus on the visuals and the storytelling, and then the song was kind of in the backdrop where I just didn't pay attention. Any other final thoughts on Thank You, Koala?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so now we're getting right into the heart of the conversation. Today's title, if you hadn't already seen, is AleXa's Sad Robot. So we're gonna talk about Alexa, her new song "Never Let You Go." I will start. So when the song came out, I think it was last week, and the song came out, and I had watched it immediately because I'm a big fan of Alexa. Just some backstory on my fandom for her as an artist. I found her through Dive Studio. It's just their content is very accessible because it's primarily in English, but it's really cool to see different perspectives and then bringing in different guests. And just hearing Alexa's story throughout this time, and then going back to see her produce stuff, and just really seeing how she wasn't this typical, like prototypical, like popular idol through the system through all the different shows that she was on, but she kind of built a reputation of just being a very talented but also very accessible person. And to me, it's very important that there are people who can connect with the larger audience outside of Korea, right? Yes, like K-pop is grounded in Korean culture, Korean music, speaking the Korean language, but just being an Asian American and then seeing a Korean American be successful in Korea is meaningful to me. It's a way for me to connect with the artist and a way to connect with the genre of music that I feel like is shared amongst a lot of other people, right? And just following her journey up until this point, feeling culturally connected with her mixed background and success in Korea, made me very invested just in anything that she puts out. So I watched the music video. I was expecting like a dance heavy, choreography heavy, like party EDM electronic song. But what we got was a ballad.
Were you ready to cry?
Oh, I was not. I was not ready to cry. Going back on the theme of the day, so Doug had mentioned the song in the music video actually felt like an OST. So, Koala, going off of that, how do you feel like, well, how did the song affect you? And what are the themes and motifs that made you feel like the song and music video were from an OST?
It didn't affect me in any personal way because, well, I'm very indifferent about girl groups and not female soloists though. No, only for girl groups. But Alexa hasn't been like on my radar for the past years, so I was just going into it because I saw that you were just raging about it and
I was losing my mind.
You were having a day. You felt something.
Yes.
I was just watching it, and it was very ballady, and I just think most of the OSTs just have that ballady vibe that wants to make you cry, and I think that's where Doug's thoughts came from because I listen to a lot of OSTs and they don't really follow the same pattern. I would say it's just you just get a specific feeling from it, from the artist, and that makes it really relatable. That's how English works. Yes.
Nailed
and
it.
Yeah.
So Alexa had posted on Instagram that she, and then they mentioned this on the show, that I guess she is a subunit of herself, right? Or at least another side of another genre that she wants to explore. So she has Alexa, which is her dance EDM style of music, and then she has Alexa H. So let me read you the Instagram post that she had explaining what that meant, and then we can kind of dive into how that was represented in the music video. So Alexa H, parentheses, heart, is the code name of the artificial intelligence, Alexa's emotional side, symbolizing the heart of a human. So yeah, she has this very like robot futuristic concept, and she's kind of pulling in more of the emotional side of what does it mean to be a human? What does it mean to have an emotion? Can those two things be separated? How do you feel like that was captured in the music video?
It was captured pretty good because if I think about Alexa, I think about like some nice stage outfit where she's dancing and just rocking the stage. And in that video, she was just I think it was a trench coat. I don't remember correctly. Just walking around there, just really slowly moving and showing emotions. And they pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And well, I guess we can go to like the very memorable piece of imagery, right? Which is her sad robot in the sand. Having watched the video several times and just like really focusing on what that robot represented, I feel like that robot can be interpreted in many ways, right? It could be her finding herself in the sand being a stiff, rigid machine requiring someone else to give you life, or it could be her finding a lost toy, a lost person, us as the audience, someone else who needs that affection. And again, this is my opinion, this is my interpretation of the emotions and what she was trying to capture. But I feel like for me, this is a direction that, yes, it's very different than her original, what she's known for, as far as just being very hype music and very fun music. But I also feel like the creative direction and her team are really trying to fit in a lot of the futuristic ideas that she has in her music and her concepts, and did a pretty nice job, at least subtly blending it in to the music and music video. And yeah, and it's just something I've thought about a lot this week. So as you can see, I have a lot of thoughts about it. Oh man. Okay. Qual, do you have any final thoughts on Never Let You Go?
I mean, I would just want to add on to that I don't get why they would specifically make a unit out of it. I mean, there are several artists that just explore what kind of music they could do, and I was like, especially the artificial intelligence part was like, huh? She's a human being. Well, okay, that's kind of weird. I mean, I enjoyed, but you could have just put out the music without any explanation. I think nobody would have asked. So, yeah.
And going off of that, so you know where my interests lie with K-pop and lore. So I am not a lore person. This does feel like AleXa's trying to develop a lore. It's not that I would not connect with it given the opportunity. It's just I see it more as a artistic concept as opposed to like her making lore and story, right? And I think I agree with you in that I don't think she needed to make an announcement, but I think this is probably closer to what Red Velvet did as far as differentiating the concepts, right? Where you have the red side, the velvet side. It's just done in a very artistic way. And like I don't think we have all the information of what she is planning to do in the future. So it's just us kind of like thinking about like all the weird things that she has in store. But yeah, I think I agree with you that she didn't have to do this very specific like artificial intelligence robot thing. But I also feel like as long as she continues in a way where it's subtle, it would be a lot easier to digest and experience moving forward into the future. All right, so let's move on to the next two songs. It's The Return of Epic High. So the main show title is The Return of Epic High, and we've got two amazing songs. All right, so song number one is Epic High, titled Rosario, featuring CL and Zico. And the second song is Based on a True Story, featuring Hayes. All right, Koala, our YG history has brought us to this moment. Go ahead.
Oh,
Take
God.
it away.
So, first of all, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I could like sing a line out of any of those songs. But not because I don't like and don't listen to them, but because I just loop the whole album and don't look at what I'm listening to. So I've been looping this album for the first day it came out. I literally have no clue what the name of one song is. I remember Acceptance Speech because of Hanbin, but that's pretty much it. So it's not the music that stuck to me for these two songs, but it's more the MV and how they directed it. And I thought it was really interesting, especially the Rosario MV, because it was vertical. And yeah, I just thought they were really interesting and also fitting to the lyrics most of the time. And I liked it a lot. So yeah.
Nice. I want to go off what the crew said, or what Doug said specifically about CL's line. I think K-pop fans who have not grown up with CL and 21 don't know, or at least like are unaware of like the history and the progression of what 21 meant for blending genres, right? Where in 2010, I can tell you the most memorable thing about K-pop was Girls' Generation, and that the majority of K-pop around that time was in that type of vein, where it's very happy, where it's bubbly. It was very cute girls doing cute things. But 21 also happened, and they were a bit edgier. They still had a lot of the same energy levels as a lot of the typical K-pop sound, but again, it was leaning towards hip hop, and also CL was very much involved in the hip hop scene as far as like the YG umbrella of a hip hop artist. And I think it's a testament to CL for her just artistry that she's able to bring that now into kind of the future, in the present day, right? Where you kind of see K-pop as a machine, where you feel like it's just so pre-planned and pre-orchestrated. But what Doug said about just like the power of the lyrics, and I think it's a gift to present day K-pop fans who may not have grown up with 21 to see where she's come, and hopefully it'll get them back to listening to her old music and kind of seeing her progression as an artist. I thought that was just a really important highlight that Doug made in the episode that just like really stood out to me. Was there anything else about Rosario that stood out to you between Zico's appearance and the music video?
No, I don't think so. No, there was nothing too special. It was just Zico rapping, like,
Right.
Okay, the usual stuff.
Yeah, no, it was just really cool to see like this powerhouse combination of people on this one song, and also just like the artistry of the music video. How, like you said, it was vertical, but it also captured the Robert Rodriguez Latin noir feel. Again, capturing this theme this week of movies and cinema, which I thought was pretty cool. So Based on a True Story is Anita's favorite song this week. What are your thoughts and opinions of why Anita ranked this song higher than Rosario?
I thought it was interesting because I personally would put Rosario over Based on a True Story. But I could understand why she was liking it more. It was just not, maybe it was just also just not me being in the mood for it, but I could follow her points and understand what she meant. So
Yeah, when she mentioned it, it actually made sense, but it's very in line with the type of music that Anita prefers, right? And I think it's a really cool perspective to see just like the shift in tone and genre, kind of within like the ranking between the crew. I think it was the Beckett review a few weeks ago that I agreed with Anita more, just because like I liked that song. I forget exactly which two songs that they talked about, but that is more in line with Based on a True Story, where it's just a very, I guess, like chill melody compared to Rosario. And if Rosario wasn't the banger it was, and CL and Zico weren't on it, I may have liked Based on a True Story more. And also Hayes, right? Like I freaking love Hayes. Anything that she does, I will listen to, and I will like rank very highly. So again, for me, it's more 1A, 1B. Like I actually do love both songs equally, and it just so happened that Rosario had that CL verse that just destroyed us all. So gotta rank that just a little higher. I thought something you said earlier was interesting, and that you listened to the entire album as one whole experience.
Yes.
What is your overall? What are your overall thoughts of what Epic High was trying to accomplish with all of the songs as a collection, having listened to it all the way through?
So I've listened to it while I was supposed to do stuff for school in online class.
What is school?
And
Don't lie.
I don't know what you mean. So I just left it running on in the background, and I haven't looked at the lyrics yet for all the songs, and I may do that in the future, but it was just really calming, even though Rosario was on it, but it was like chill and not disturbing me while being in class. And yeah, it was just also nice seeing so many features on it. As I'm always also like used of Epic High, because I also connect Epic High with like different artists coming together, even though they are from different companies. And I also really liked that. Have you listened to the album yet?
Yes. When it first dropped, I just listened to the entire album all the way through several times. I even attempted to go on a run with this album. I could not do that because the album is not a hype album. So like you said, like there's a lot of features on the album, but there's also a very specific Epic High tone, right? And yes, like Rosario is like the lead like banger on the album, but I think for me, like I always associate Epic High with a lot more introspective and thoughtful hip hop music. Not slow, but it's just very methodical in how the music plays out. And even though I don't understand the lyrics right away, or I'll read a translation, and oftentimes there's things lost in translation, but I can still, just from listening to the melody and listening to the composition and listening to the way that he raps lyrics, right, and just the execution of all those things, you can kind of get the sense of what he's trying to convey, like emotionally. I think the one song that really stood out to me is like a 1 minute. I don't even know if it's.
You mean the outro? No, wait.
No.
There are two songs.
It's like
Social Distance.
Social Distance 16. That one stood out to me because that was a freaking mood. Like he said everything that we've been worrying about, or like he said everything that was the foundation for all of our worries in 2020, which is like this damn virus, this damn pandemic, and just like people having to be away from each other, all in like less than a minute, because a lot of the beginning of the song is just instrumental, and I thought that was just very powerful, and it stood out like immediately. But again, like it's very in line with what the entire album was trying to accomplish as far as an emotional connection. Any final thoughts on the Epic High album?
Nope, I just really like the features.
All right. So moving on to the Spice Chart. This week in the SojuTalk main show, the Spice Chart was number 1, Epic High, Rosario featuring CL and Zico. Number 2, Epic High, Based on a True Story featuring Hayes. And number 3, Treasure with My Treasure. So what are your thoughts, Kola? Agree? Disagree?
Not completely agree. I would put Treasure on second.
Oh, okay. That's no surprise.
But in general, yeah, I agree with the songs. And depends on what you like, you would just switch them around, I guess. I mean, Warren was kind of not agree.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Warren liked the AB6 song, because I
was as well.
It didn't resonate with me at all, and honestly, like the Treasure, right now the two songs that have played the most on Spotify are My Treasure and Going Crazy. So
I'm getting you to be a Tume. Just wait.
God, why? But that being said, so this is the list that I compiled prior to the show recording on Monday. So on Discord, Doug will ask Harold's homies what they think the Spice Chart should be. Kind of a little behind the scenes on Discord, but Harold's homies are the Patreons, Sometimes they take our opinions into account. Sometimes they don't. It just gives them a way. It just gives them a talking point, right? Or at least like a deciding factor, right? Not necessarily that we have any kind of weight or influence on the show, but we kind of do. But that being said, like I immediately put this list together, this exact like 1, 2, 3, and I'd like to think that I had some influence, just a little bit.
Totally.
But no, seriously, these are just the songs that I like the most, and it was really cool to see them agree with it and just to really land on this list. I don't know what it's gonna look like next week, and we'll talk about that later when we talk about songs coming up. But I would be really surprised if this was the list going into next week. It might not.
Nope.
Yeah, it would be an interesting turn of events if Epic High was still on the top 3 next week.
Oh, God, I will have to say goodbye to Treasure. God,
bye Treasure, you did so well.
We made it. We made it 2 weeks. This is.
It's okay. That's your one Treasure accomplishment for our little community here. All right. So any final thoughts on the music this week?
Wait, did anything else? No, I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right. So the music on SojuTalk this week was far more emotional than I expected. A lot deeper. Also considering that one of the songs is an AB6 song, and it's like, okay, like we're just gonna have some pop music, and then all of a sudden they decide to review Alexa. I was like, oh, we're going this way, and then they go ahead and review both the Epic High songs. So nice turn this week, I would say. So we're gonna move on to the State of the Nation, because this was a very interesting and probably my favorite State of the Nation they've ever given. Because of food. So
not the toilet
much
talk.
Food. What happened? What toilet talk? That did not happen. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh God. Okay, well, let's put it this way. The toilet talk will be one of the most memorable segments they've ever had. Memorable in the sense that I wish to have not remembered it. No, but seriously, it was a very interesting talk and very in line with kind of the weird quirks of just human nature, and also kind of an introspection in like the cultural differences between like Korean culture and like openness to talk about toilet talk. Wow, this is turning into Toilet Talk 2.0. Let's stop and move on.
You were the one who continued it, okay? I just threw it in.
Oh God. Okay.
As a joke.
Okay. Let's move on to Korean food talk. Okay. So the crew talked about food this week and talked about Korean food specifically. What were your big takeaways on food talk this week, and how did the conversation make you feel?
I should have made myself food before listening to that. That's my main takeaway. I was like, I was waiting for my dinner to get ready, and it was so bad.
Same here. Well, not dinner, but it made me really hungry. So I listened to the podcast while I was on a walk in the afternoon, and it was a longer walk because I didn't have power in my house, so I just decided to go outside. And an hour in, I was really hungry, and it was a little painful how hungry I was. Oh man. Okay, so like just going off of what the crew was talking about with food and very different experiences, what is your favorite Korean food?
Problem is, I live in a small city, so I have not as many how do you call it in English? Wait.
Options, availability.
Right, options.
Ah.
God, my brain it's not working right now.
Okay, words are hard. Understandable.
So how many times did I have Korean food? 5 to 10, maybe.
In your life? Oh man.
Yeah.
We need to get you to Korea to eat all of it.
You're also old, okay? I'm only 16. This is pretty fine.
Fine, it makes sense.
Yeah, and Korean food wasn't a thing here in Germany like 3 years ago. They only started opening up pretty recently, so yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, it really just a matter of how Korean food is globalized and how it's accessible to different parts of the world. I think definitely in the United States, it's far more visible just because of immigration and just the number of people from Korea that have made a life here over the decades, right? Um, but it's understandable. I get that it's hard for your like area to access Korean food. But going off of the cruise conversation, did what did you think about Shake Shack and like the idea of like a burger place making Korean style food?
I was. It just sounded like they were like exploiting the hype around like everything that has Korea in it nowadays just gets more hype. I would say, at least here. So didn't feel. And my first thought was like, you guys have another fast food chain that I don't know of. Oh god. I literally only have McDonald's here. I was like, what is Shake Shack?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So like two things what you said like the because like Korean entertainment and like Korean culture is like very like wildly popular right now, that especially like in a Western market, especially in the United States, of course we would want to like take advantage and like make something popular like flavor wise. I actually didn't think about that. That they're like exploiting like this idea of Korean culture and like, infusing it into like a chicken sandwich. But yeah, I didn't think about that, and now that I do, it's like, oh, maybe it was a problem. And then the second thing you said about just like another fast food chain. Well, let me tell you, Americans, we love our fast food chains. So that's what you'll get from coming to America. See,
You have so many.
we do.
Like,
We have an unreasonable number of fast food chains, but honestly, that's part of like American culture, for better or worse. Not saying that's a bad thing, but also like it's part of the American identity, where it's like we have to like develop our own culture somehow, and that's how we do it with fast food.
fast food chain. Okay. Are you proud of that?
I mean, I'm not proud of it. I mean, McDonald's is amazing. Like, how can I be mad at McDonald's? It makes me so happy.
McDonald's. Okay. I guess the German McDonald's is really bad then.
Perhaps.
That's probably the reason.
Yeah. Okay, so then they go on and talk about different, like very specific Korean food, right? Or they have tteokbokki, and they talk about gochujang, which gochujang was like really like the center of the conversation because it's this red bean paste and well, is it red bean? It's like red bean pepper paste, right? I think that's how they described it.
Yes.
Not red bean like red bean, but like the color is red. But so it's a very visually distinct piece of like Korean culture within Korean food, right? Where it's like, well, at least for me, living in California, being surrounded by a lot of different Asian cultures, like that is still something that I can identify as like, oh, that's specifically Korean. The one, I guess, like life hack that they talked about, which is amazing, is just how to thin out the paste. Having bought gochujang in the past, it's freaking ridiculously difficult to like cook with because the paste is like, it's like cement once you get into the fridge. And my dumbass like used water in the past to try to thin it out.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not Korean. I don't know how this stuff works.
Why? But why would you use that?
So when Doug said that, I was like, why would you use water? Would you just add some flavor? I was like, oh, I'm a noob. That hurt me. I use water. I'm sorry. But then learning that you can use sesame oil or like copious amounts of butter to not only thin it out but make it taste better is what I'm going to be trying now. And it sounds delicious. It sounds amazing.
Oh god.
Oh man. Okay, and then so they move on to Doug's grandma story, right? About her coming from the Korean War, and like them going to Busan. The only thing they had was rice, gochujang, and the American soldiers had butter, kind of a luxury to make like the fried rice like amazing. again, I was dying because I wanted to try that so bad. Gochujang fried rice with like enormous mounds of butter sounds like the best thing ever, especially when you're hungry. But it did get me thinking about like the stories and the types of food like your grandparents make for you. So, Koala, my question is, what memories do you have of your grandparents preparing food for you? Like growing up, or like even to this day, where you just like go to the kitchen and there's something prepared by your parents or your grandparents?
What is? I mean, it's not grandparents for me because they do not live in Germany, so I rarely see them. When was the last time? Maybe 3 years ago? A bit less. I don't remember. But how? Wait, my brain is stopped. Wait, what? How is it called?
Describe it.
Oh God, I'm like trying to. Okay, no. How is the Vietnamese dish? Excuse me. Help.
Describe it. What is it? Is it wrapped in something? Is it made of egg?
No, it's not. It's. I mean, you could put spring rolls. Spring rolls probably would also fit in. But I'm like, oh God, this is messing with my mind that I can't think of the name.
That's okay. Well, I'll go, and then hopefully it'll jog your memory. So for me, with my grandparents and my family, so I think I mentioned this last time, but I'm Filipino Chinese, and one of the memories I have of just like my grandma in the kitchen was making lumpia. So if you don't know what lumpia is, it's like a very small egg roll. It's typically pork, but you could use different kinds of meats, and it's fried. So it's just a much smaller egg roll, like very bite sized. And I just remember peeling the wrappers and then watching like the meat go inside and then like rolling them up, right? So you would typically roll up like very long ones, very thin, long egg rolls. And then you would cut those into different segments, into like 3 or 4 segments. So then you would have smaller ones and you fry those as a batch. So for me, it's like lumpia is a very like memorable cultural like piece of food. One, because like it's very much associated with like Filipino culture in the United States, where it's like you say lumpia, you know exactly like where it's from, and it evokes very like fond memories within a lot of people, not just Filipino people, but just like people who have celebrated with a Filipino family before. And for me, it's just one of those where, I mean, I just remember being in a small apartment growing up and around the kitchen table, just my grandma rolling them up and like having the egg wash to seal the wrappers. Yeah, it's just it's one of those memories that I can connect with anytime someone talks about their memory of food growing up with their family, especially something like what Doug said about Korean, his grandmother during the Korean War and making gochujang fried rice. And I thought that was just a nice thing to bring into the conversation that I related to like deeply when they talked about it. Cole, did you come up with the Vietnamese food that you were thinking of?
I hope it's the right one.
Just say it and then we'll figure it out. It's fine.
So to give some context, I was like, when I was younger, I was like really picky with food. I did not like any vegetable. I was like, okay, I can eat rice. And then the side dish I'm mentioning now is thịt kho. So it's basically just braised pork belly with eggs.
That sounds delicious.
And I was like eating that for like a year only because I was really picky for some kind of reason. I did not like anything else. I was just eating that. Probably not the healthiest food.
Whatever. You're still alive. Could be worse.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm still alive. I can simp for treasure. It's good. I'm fine.
Alive to simp. Sounds like a simp. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those where it's like you grow up eating one thing, and I think for me, I can't exactly remember like eating one thing, but I do remember like lumpia being so part of like our family parties and just like our life that like it's just ingrained in like my memory, right? And I'm sure it's the same way for you. Like if you knew exactly what it was, you could say it in English, but I'm guessing it's very difficult for your brain to go from Vietnamese to German to English right now. So I would say the SojuTalk Nation understands, especially if we have those memories of food, because food is a very
Yes.
important part of anyone's history, right? So the next thing that they talked about on the show that I thought was super interesting was Doug's Kogi parties in his studio apartment.
Oh God.
All right, 29 people in a studio apartment. I don't know if you know the dimensions of a studio apartment, but
It's not that big.
okay, so you do. So let's just say it's a very big accomplishment for him to do such a thing. And then also, so not only did he like cook, like have Korean barbecue and eat with that many people, but then everyone got drunk afterwards apparently, and then passed out. So, Koala, what did you think about Doug's Kogi parties?
I did not expect that. Like he also talked like as if it was like a tradition, some kind of thing that they would just once every month. And like he also like talked about how prepared he was, how much meat he had in his fridge. And I was like just really amazed at how he managed that.
You know, knowing what we know about Doug and how he's very meticulous in his planning, it actually makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense.
If you think about just like how well planned out he is, and just like how like even like the Discord, right? How it ultimately is like very like Doug specific and just like how it's planned. All good things, Doug. Like we love you for this, but just like, oh yes, it makes sense that Doug would have like every piece of meat that you could possibly want.
There's probably a spreadsheet out there of him just for his Kogi parties.
Yes, I can imagine a spreadsheet with a budget and then different tabs for the different like types of meats or the different like things that you would require. Like you have the meat, you have the drinks, you have the utensils, you have the gas, the propane tank. Okay, we're getting off track, but essentially yes, we can imagine Doug planning everything down to the detail. Man, just, that does sound really fun though. And you know, pre-pandemic, obviously it was more likely to get together with people to want to do those kinds of things. And I guess like the way that the story Doug told the story was a very like fond memory of bonding with friends and bonding with people over Korean food. And for me, it's like I've always seen like having a meal with someone as like a very memorable way to get to know someone and also to like form a lasting relationship. And especially with Korean food, like I've had a lot of memories with Korean food. Just being in California, just like having it so accessible. What are your kind of fond memories of sharing a meal with friends and family? Doesn't necessarily have to be Korean food, but like what are your experiences with like building those memories and having those in your life?
Vietnamese like to share food, and I just always remember if it's like sharing food, it's mostly some kind of family meeting. It's someone's birthday. I don't know. I probably don't know the person, so I'm just there to eat, and we mostly just sit around there, not even at a table or something like that. Just we also used to do a lot of barbecues back in the days.
Yeah,
like we also had a mini grill and shit, and it was pretty fun because it's. I don't know, the atmosphere is just different if you share the food with everyone else.
Yeah,
you just get to talk and yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And just like the idea of like sharing a communal space to barbecue, right? I think barbecue is like one of the like ritualistic human ways of just like bonding with someone over like an open fire. And it's really interesting that like so many cultures have like a form of barbecue. And it's just a very a deep way to connect with your community, with your family, with people that are in your tight circle of friends and relationships, but also to bring people into your life, right? For me, with Korean food, one of my fondest memories was, again, I'm going to bring this to anime. So,
oh God,
there is a yearly anime convention in Los Angeles called Anime Expo. It is, I think it's the largest and like the cornerstone anime convention in North America, where it's like this is like the big celebration of like the industry people, and people from Japan come over, from like people like fans, and also like different I guess different studios come to like this expo to like really celebrate and kind of show up for North America every year. And it's in downtown LA, very close to Koreatown. And I remember one anime expo, a friend of mine, just one other person, went to Korean barbecue after I think it was like a Saturday or Sunday night at Anime Expo. Oh, also, mind you, this is 4th of July every year. So for our non-US people, 4th of July is a big celebration in the United States, where it is the Day of Independence. And we went to Korean barbecue. I think I still have photos from this, but we were there for an hour, just the two of us. I don't think we could walk afterwards.
Oh God.
Like we had soju, and
Bad.
it's all you can eat. So I think we paid like $20, and we just like kept ordering meat over and over. I distinctly remember the several slabs of pork belly, which is essentially like an enormous piece of bacon, and then you can like see the fat like on the side of it. And like Doug said, like humans have just prefer fatty foods because like savory, and like the way that our like the way that like our taste buds have evolved, and it was amazing. That's all I'll say. So again, like anime, Korean food, Korean barbecue, it was an experience, a very memorable experience. So I definitely relate and connect with what the crew was was saying about Korean food as being very much ingrained in their experiences and their personal histories. So let's move on to a new segment that we'd like to introduce. It's called Voices from the Nation.
Hello, I'm Cash, and today I have a question for Crispy and Koala. Since starting to listen to the podcast, what are some of the groups or artists that you've begun to stan because of it? This can either be directly from the podcast, like a recommendation from Doug, Warren, or Anita themselves, or from talking to other people in the Discord server. For me, the first group that I probably got into after starting to listen to the podcast, like majorly, is ITZY. So I had only listened to a couple of their title tracks, and I really liked their debut song. But after meeting the ITZY simps, as they are known, in the server, and watching people scream about them and stuff, I decided to give them a look, and I really liked their personalities and their music. So now I am also a certified ITZY simp.
So that was Kesh. Thank you again, Kesh, for submitting your voice recording. Love to hear your voice, and love for you to be part of the show. So Kesh's question: since starting to listen to the podcast, what are some of the groups or artists you've begun to stan because of it? Those can either be directly from the podcast, like recommendations from Doug, Warren, or Anita, or from talking to other people on the Discord server. So Kesh's answer was ITZY, and she gave a big shout out to the ITZY group on Discord. We have our special place on Discord. If you don't know, just put ITZY as a bias roll and you'll find it. Let's just leave it at that. We have a very special place where we can congregate and have a lot of fun.
You also have a special member named Bagel, so he's something else.
Bagel is so popular. We're going to talk about him so much today. I think we talked about him a lot at the top of the show, and now we're talking about him here, and we're going to talk about him more even later.
But
so.
I mean, is it a good thing?
Of course it's a good thing. Bagel's the best.
Oh, that didn't sound...
Don't be rude.
That sounded really forced.
Don't be rude. You're rude. Oh man.
No.
So going off of Kesh's answer, it's nice to hear that she was introduced to ITZY through the server, just like through our love of the group, and are fun times. I'll put it lightly. For me, the three artists and music groups, the three artists and groups that the words are hard, that I became more of a fan of through Discord. The first one's BB. So let me tell you like a longer story of this. Okay, so I actually had BB on several of my hip hop and R&B playlists, like maybe 6 months before I started listening to the podcast. But I just didn't like pay attention to who like she was. I just like had her on the playlist, and anytime her song would come up, I'd be like, "This is a cool song. It's pretty dope." I wasn't like super into like watching her content yet at that point. And then I think it was this year we were all in voice chat together, and we were just playing music.
Not
videos.
This year. Not this year.
2019?
It's 2021, Crispy.
Oh God, it's 2021. In 2020, during our work from home and just like hanging out from home situations, we were on voice chat and we were playing music videos. And Koala had put one of BB's compilation videos, and it just sounded really familiar. I was like, I know who this is. But then I watched it. I was like, oh, she's amazing. She has so much swag, and so like she was just, oh God. So long story short, I have become a BB simp, and I've been one of the big ambassadors of the BB simp movement, and there are a lot of us now, and I'm so happy.
We've grown.
We've grown. We've invaded the BB Discord server too, which
God.
is kind of amazing.
I'm not in that one. I don't know why.
You're fake. That's why.
Of course I'm fake. I'm following her since debut. I must be fake.
Yeah, you're fake. Get out of here. Oh man. Okay. So that said, BB is one that like has definitely grown because of the server, and I do very much appreciate everyone on the server for encouraging, and also Koala. Thank you for just helping out and just always making BB content visible and available. So thanks for that.
Of course.
The other two I'll go over quickly. So Luna is another one. I knew who Luna was. I knew their music, but I just, again, because it's lore, I checked out immediately. But because of the server and just like being exposed to their content, and just like seeing the individual members doing individual things made me like them a lot more. So over the past year, 2020, because Eve was just so like accessible and she was just everywhere, I just love her, and I like main dancers, so it's like, oh man, she's so good. So when they released their recent comeback, I was all over it. I loved it, and I'll say I'm a pretty big Luna fan now. Maybe not yet a full-blown Orbit, but pretty close. And then the last one, I think we all like came up together with this. Weekly happened. They debuted in 2020, and the hype on the server was insane. So I mean, I think we all just like stand them together, and I'll leave it at that. That's probably a conversation for another time. It's a longer story of how like the server is a weekly stand, but yeah, I would say like that's a really fond memory of getting to know that group because of the server. Koala, I understand you have a very interesting answer, so go for it.
So my answer is none. But not because I did not like any of the recommendations the others gave in like the past. How long am I? I think it's been a year since I've joined. But more because I just slowly stopped standing groups per se. I just listened to a lot of artists. So yeah, I wouldn't say I stan groups more. I could say that I'm looking into girl group music more, even though I'm still pretty much indifferent about it. But I don't really stan any, like, no. I introduced BB to you more or less a bit.
Yes.
So.
Okay, fine. You can take credit for it. Fine.
Yes. My credit.
All right. Well, thank you, Kesh, for submitting that awesome voice recording and great question. I think it's a nice way for us to get to know the nation a little bit more and to really connect with why our love of K-pop has brought us together. All right, so our final segment, as we're wrapping things up, is Discord Adventures. And this past week, we've got the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, we've got the Dumpster Cast, and we've got a lot of very creative people on the server making emotes and making content for the community. So Doug decided to give us a Discord content manager role. So now we're able to see certain content specific channels just to help grow the community and just be creative and add things to just how the community will flourish and grow. And I thought that was really cool. So shout out to the Dumpster Cast. The emote let me pronounce that again, emote factory. The people who have been making emotes and just making really cool things for us, I want to give them a shout out. So that's OP, Kesh, and Yocab/JCab. So really quickly, you listened to the Dumpster Cast. How did you feel? What are your thoughts?
I'm sad that I missed the K-pop episode.
Yeah,
Man.
It was a big shout out episode.
I could have been there, but because we for some reason started an hour late, I couldn't participate. But it was fun to listen to. It was a mess, as you could tell from the name. So yeah.
Join us over at the Dumpster Cast. They are on Spotify and other podcast platforms. It's just a nice insight into the lives of Bagel and Mina. People pop in and out at random times throughout the podcast because it's just a random recording of a voice chat segment.
It's basically just us chilling in voice chat.
Yeah, just us chilling and just...
It's just us chilling.
Yeah, and just hanging out. It pretty much is just a voice chat section of what the community is like. So if you are ever on the server and just want to hang out with us and see people on voice chat, yeah, come join us. We're a lot of fun. So personal stuff not personal stuff, but just things that we looked out for specifically this week. Do you want to go first?
Oh my god! First of all, my Treasure album came after I literally lost the album first and then reordered it, and then it finally came. I am very happy. And while we were recording this, they already sent me an email that the full album will arrive next week. I am so ready for this. I spent too much money on Treasure. Someone needs to stop me. God damn it.
You're a true fan. Yeah, you showed me the pictures. Those are pretty cool. So good job, Koala. You are doing good things. Can you talk
just wait for next week? Yeah.
God, yeah. Yes. Yeah, so make sure you post all those pictures from the full album because I want to see what's the difference. Because the first pictures you showed me are just from the most recent release, right? The one prior to this.
Yes. So the photo book was just the most recent one.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much all the same, just different locations. They shot the jacket stuff. So
that was a lot. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what the full album looks like. Can you talk about someone who released a YouTube channel this week?
Oh my god. It was... So for everyone who did not know, it was Jenny's birthday a couple of days ago. And she just dropped that YouTube link in her Instagram story, and oh my god, we were not ready for it. Oh,
that was wild.
That was wild. It was her birthday, and we got a gift. Why? Hello?
That was wild. It was...
Wait, let me... Yeah?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
You got
I
more.
would just check how many subscribers she has.
Oh, yeah.
Right
So
now.
on the podcast, they talked about she had 3.6 million subscribers at that point.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So this was about...
That should...
2 days later.
2 days. 2 days.
So what's the count now?
Jenny Ruby Jane has 4.26 million subscribers.
Wow.
She gained 600.
That's insane. That's insane.
And her video has 80 million views.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, I account for like 2 million of those, so it's fine.
Of course.
They went over a little bit on the show, so I'm not gonna like restate a bunch of it. I will just say, if you're a YG fan, if you're a Blackpink fan, if you're a Jennie fan, if you just like really wholesome, down-to-earth content with a girl singing a song from Tangled, this is the video for you, so go check it out. And the last thing for our Discord adventures this week, we have a Dungeons and Dragons group. We met this week. We typically meet every 2 weeks. We might actually play again this week because we're just very captivated by the story. Led by Matt, Shinboy Matt. He is our dungeon master. He is our leader. He is the one telling us the story, guiding us through the world. And we have Doug, No Bias Nuna, Pris, Therese, and myself. The highlight this week is that we almost died and we had to use a game mechanic to get out of a space so we don't all die, but there are going to be consequences for that later. If you don't know what we're talking about, go on the server on Saturday, this Saturday, and you can find the tabletop channel and you can actually watch us play. So if you want like an idea of Dungeons and Dragons looks like, if you've never played before, if you just want to hear us like yell at each other and talk over each other, I mean, that's a thing too. I typically have a drink because my character is a drunk monk. So
only your character? You sure about that?
I am a drunk monk. And
yes,
in game and perhaps in real life, I don't know. Who's to say? So yeah, that's a very like fun like bonding moment we have on the server and the community, and it's just really cool that Doug gave us that space. So thanks to Doug. Also, Warren is around here and there. Mm-hmm. I think he didn't pop in for Dungeons and Dragons, but again, this speaks more to like the Discord community and just like how welcoming and
he popped in before Dumpstercast recording.
Yes, that's where Warren was this week. So Warren has been popping in a little bit more frequently. So if you're ever on and you catch him, you can talk to him about
the Yamta gift.
You can talk to him about Yamta. I was about to say that. Oh God. Okay. Well, that's it for Discord adventures this week. So, checking in with you, and our closing thoughts. How's life, and what are you looking forward to next week?
Oh God, I'm looking forward to my last day of school and then have break for a week, because for some reason all of my teachers were like, "Oh, here is an assignment. Please hand it in 2 days," and I'm like, "Huh? I was about to do nothing for school for the next week. Why?"
Well, at least you have a break afterwards.
Yeah, for a week, and then Germany just decided, I think yesterday at 10 p.m. that they would make the lockdown longer till Valentine's Day. Yes, till Valentine's Day. So I'm staying home, not going to school till Valentine's Day at least, but I'm still going to school to receive my, what is it called? What is Zeugnis called in English? Wait. The thing you get your marks with on.
Report card.
Yes, right. There we go.
Well, there you go. At least you get your grades right. So that's something to look for.
I don't care about them. I never care less about my grades.
Fine, you don't care about your grades. It's fine. It's fine.
Anything else next week? Bobby coming back with his second solo album. Yeah. I'm a YG trash. Of course, I am hyped.
Yeah. And then real quickly with that, so last week we talked about Rose potentially, but this also but we also got news that Rose has finished filming her MV, so it stands to reason that Rose is going
she was carrying around a whole wardrobe
right after Bobby, so that's something to look forward to.
It should be. It should be.
Yeah. So Bobby confirmed, Rose not confirmed. But
I'm telling
it's getting to be more of a reality than any of us had expected.
The teaser will drop in a week. In a week, maybe on Thursday, if I'm bad at guessing. But they should if they actually announce, so there were reports today for Sungyun of Winner first solo album, but I think that's more like middle February. Because if they already filmed Rosie, she will probably come back first. But yeah, we can see that YG is really going the solo way this year.
Yeah, totally. And Doug mentioned it on the show that the new management seems to have gotten things together, considering how many releases they've had in the last 8 months. Way back from How You Like That.
Since June, 5th June with Bangyedam and Weo. Since then they continuously release stuff every 2 or 3 weeks, and in the end, like December, November, it was even like 1.5 week just between the comebacks.
That was wild. So good on them. I mean, they've been at the butt of a lot of jokes, but at the same time, it seems like they've turned the corner and are actually doing things like they're supposed to be doing, at least like for the fans, right? So life for me. So this week the weather's been really weird. We have a lot of sunshine. It's been very warm in California, but yesterday, Tuesday, January 19th, there was an enormous windstorm apparently across the entire state, like winds up to 26, 27 miles per hour. So what happened in my neighborhood is it knocked down a bunch of electric lines, and a bunch of fences fell, a bunch of trees fell, a bunch of like branches were all over the place, and I didn't have power for, I would say, like 10 hours. Yeah.
Oh God.
It was great, but it started early in the morning, so I was asleep for most of it, but I didn't get power back until like afternoon. So yeah, that was the thing. But other than that, the power's back on, everything's fine. The weather's nice. Hopefully the wind calms down for the rest of the week. And yeah, that's just living in California.
For reference, how warm was it? Like,
well, I can tell you right now, the weather is, give me like 10 seconds. While I do that, what's the temperature in Germany?
Wait. It's really cold. It's been snowing for 2 weeks straight.
Oh. For me, it's 48 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
That's not too warm. That's pretty. Well, it's January though.
It's January, and the high today is going to be 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So there you go.
God. Wait. Oh. Berlin. It's the same right now. Yes, it's pretty much the same, but it's still snowing the whole time. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Anything else? Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I have. Shout out to OP. On the day we're recording, it's his birthday. Well, I think not. Is it still? It should be. Time zones are weird, but it's his birthday today. So,
nice. Oh, sorry. Happy birthday, OP. There you go.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
First shout out Soju today. Man.
I know. So if you don't know, OP is a Herald homie and content manager on the server. He's an IZ*ONE fan. He's a Chaewon cult follower, and he's just a really great guy. He's just very active. Everyone gets along with him really well, and yeah, just shout out to him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So
okay,
we're ending today's episode with OP's birthday.
I know.
And we will start hopefully next episode with Cash's birthday. So, man, we're on a run for birthdays.
so many birthdays. All right, so thank you for listening to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, episode 2.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk K-pop podcast Discord.
This has been the SojuTalk Nation. For Koala, this is Crispy. Bye.